Spooky. What's up, nerds? It's your boy, the OGGM, coming to you live from a small island off the coast of Costa Rica, affectionately referred to as Site B. It is 8:12 in the morning on this, the 13th day of September in the year of our Lord Steve the Cat 2023, and it is a foggy, cold Wednesday morning here in Ventura, California. That beach fog is rolling in. We're starting to get the beginnings of fall/winter. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, but it's a thing. And when in doubt, talk about the weather. What's going on in the world of tabletop role-playing games? It's Wednesday, which means it's time to take a look at the crowdfunding projects that are coming to an end. But you still have a chance to get in on these if anything sounds good. And sometimes, you know, when you do these crowdfunding things, you get cool free stuff, like a copy of the game, or stickers, or a shirt, or a stuffed animal, or a copy of the game, or a POD. Still on the fence about PODs. Now, nothing really stood out to me, but there is the Larry Elmore thing. And while that's not really my cup of tea, I know a lot of other you would really love to see, you know, Elmore get the support he needs and the collection of his work. So I posted a link to that. Meanwhile, let's take a look at what's going on in the world of crowdfunding and see if anything sounds exciting to us. Not surprisingly, there are a few spooky things. And if any of these stand out, of course, you could head on over to your favorite crowdfunding site of choice, crowdfunding, Kickstarter, Backerlit, Itch.io, Zine Quest, etc., etc., etc. Now, I had no idea this had even started, but it looks like the crowdfunding project for the Magnus Archive role-playing game from Monte Cook Game is coming to an end. This is a core rule book using Monte Cook's Cipher system, which is $75 for the most popular pledge, which for Monte Cook is reasonable. That gives you a PDF and the print version of the books. What is this? What is the Magnus Archive? It is based upon a podcast. It is a modern day urban horror, X-Files, things that go bump in the night type game based upon a podcast, which has since concluded, but I guess the Magnus Archive was a history of horror that turned out to be real kind of thing. So if it sounds familiar, yeah, it's Vampire the Masquerade, X-Files, things that go bump in the night, that kind of thing. Did anybody ever make a game called Things That Go Bump in the Night? If not, they should. We've got some Harn love from Columbia Games, which is weird. Harn just came up in a conversation I was having about safety tools, which is bizarre that I would start the conversation with somebody debating over safety tools, and then the guy would go on to tell me, you know, that compared to D&D, Harn World is far more bloody and far more deadly. And I'm like, wait, safety tools? Why would you want to? Whatever, you know, at least, even though we ended up still mostly disagreeing, I saw his side and he saw my side. And, you know, that's good to occasionally have a debate and a conversation with somebody in the tabletop role-playing game community, as opposed to just a, you know, series of threats and insults. So, yeah. Harn World Kingdom of Azdamir is a setting for Harn World, set in the world of Harn. $49 is the most popular pledge, gets you a PDF and the print versions of the book. If you're not familiar with Harn World, it is one of those also ran fantasy settings. It's been around for a long time, at least from the late 80s. I remember first hearing about it in 89, 90. So yeah, it's pretty old. Western European fantasy setting, a little bit more low magic than you might be used to as a D&D fan. You know, it's one of those also rans. It's one of those ones like, just, you know, if they had, I don't, you know, it's tough to compete with D&D, but still these guys could have been a contender. And then we have something from Ken St. Andrew and Stephen Compton of Troll Godfather Press. We have Monsters, Rules, and Crystal Cave Challenges. This is for Monsters, which I guess is a role-playing games these guys made. It's $15 for the PDF. Monsters is a bunch of monsters, and the rules for the game, I guess. And then the Crystal Caves is a solo adventure you can play in the world of Monsters. Now, they're calling themselves Troll Gods and Troll Godfather, which makes me think they have some connection with Tunnels and Trolls. I'm not sure. Or Troll Lord Games. Don't know enough about Ken St. Andrew and Stephen S. Compton, though the name Stephen S. Compton sounds familiar. But anyways, if you're looking for another role-playing game. Here we go. From Horrible Guild, we have Wildfest. This is an original system, core rulebook. $50 is the most popular pledge. And it is a game about hunting monsters and eating them using a D8 and D20 system. So if this sounds familiar, a game about where you play monster hunters who hunt them and then eat them, that's because there's also an anime coming out that's already getting amazing reviews about basically the same subject, and it is fighting foodions, and monster hunters and monster eatings have been done before a lot in anime. So while this might be the first role-playing game to cover this, I guess it's a new thing. I'm not sure how safety tools would apply to a game about eating monsters, but sure. Okay. From Tomb of Summoning, we have some decks. We have the deck of encounters and the deck of loot rollable tables for D&D. This is a D&D, well, any role-playing game. Really, accessory, $25 gets you PDF versions of the deck, which is pretty much pointless because I still have to print them out. And to make them worthwhile, I would have to print them out on cardstock, which means the amount of ink and the amount of cardstock it would cost me, probably just more cost-effective to buy the actual deck. Or, save the money and just find a random generator. But it's a deck, and each card has some random encounters on it that you could roll, and then random things happen, and you draw a card, and you roll on it. And yeah, I love the cards. The cards are a great prop. I will always say, hey, the encounter cards, they're so great because you can just flap it up and go, this is what you see. And the item cards are also great because you can just hand them the card and go, this is what you found. And then if they lose the card, you go, oh, well, you lost the sword. And by the way, that card was expensive. But I don't know. Yeah. From Laughing Rogue, we have Slaughterville RPG. Dive into the world of fun and horror. This is a Year Zero engine core rulebook. $80 is the most popular pledge. Gives you the PDF and the print version, plus cards and more. It's based upon the Slaughterville board game, which is, I guess, based upon the idea of a town full of monsters and horrors, and you are the kids in this town who constantly have these horrible monster things happen to them. So Stranger Things meets Fear Street 1980 meets, Erie, Indiana type thing. Kids/adults in a city where there's, horrible things always happening every week, and for some reason, nobody notices. From Mike Myler, we have Hypercorps 2099, Cyberpunk Superheroes for the WOIN, What's Old is New system. So we knew that the What's Old is New was slowly trying to be a generic system. They did fantasy, they did modern day, they did future, and now it looks like they have done a Cyberpunk Superheroes. So superheroes operating in a dystopian cyberpunk world. Some of the superheroes, of course, will also be just, getting their superpowers from cybernetics. Now, I'm not sure why on the cover they have a Harry Dresden fighting a cyber dog, it looks like, and drones. I would think that if the technology had advanced far enough ahead to give us cybernetics and cyber dog, or Cyber Dragon, or whatever this is, drone technology would probably have increased also, improved from this classic butterfly drone. And also, for some reason, there's a tiefling. So I guess in addition to cyberpunk and superheroes, there's also a little Shadowrun. So basically, it's Shadowrun with superheroes. Or you could just buy WRETCHEHD Vigilantes from me, which has, superheroes in it. Yeah. And then here's the one we're talking about. $125 is the Larry Elmore, The Complete Elmore Volume 3 hardcover book. This is the third and final volume, according to Mr. Elmore, of his retrospect. Blah, 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 blah. Yes, I know. I have a degree in communicating. I used to be a radio broadcaster. I know it's hard to believe, but doesn't mean I have a brain. Just ask Condor. So if this is a thing you want to get, if you want to support the artwork of Larry Elmore and let him know how much we love him and the stuff he has done for the hobby over the years, this is a great way to get yourself a tabletop, coffee table type book filled with all sorts of fantasy type monsters. I have posted the link down below. From Onyx Path Publishing for Scion 2nd Edition, we have Titans Rising and the Titanomancy book. This is for the Story Path system, Scion 2nd Edition. $105 is the most popular pledge. Gets you the PDF, POD discounted versions, and print versions of both books. Scion is American Gods, basically. If you're not familiar with it, it's a campaign setting that they made a while back for White Wolf. And then, as we know, White Wolf's kind of spread out the ownership of the various titles to different individual companies, which people have explained to me multiple times how that works, and I still don't understand it. So this will now deal with, I guess, how the Titans of mythology rise back in the world of Scion. So American Gods players are the sons, daughters, grandsons, granddaughters of gods. So, Percy, whatever his name is, and the Lightning Thief, that type of stuff. It's not quite superheroes, but you could also say it was a superhero game, I guess, kind of, sort of, not really. And and then we have some news for what Onyx Path has coming up for their chunk of the Chronicles of Darkness between now and 2024, it being the 20th anniversary of a lot of the World of Darkness stuff. So it looks like we've got a lot of new stuff coming for World of Darkness. We've got stuff for Mage. We've got stuff for Hunter. We've got stuff for Changeling. We've got stuff for Werewolf. A lot of stuff. So, yeah, if you're a fan of Onyx Publishing's take on the world of Vampire the Masquerade and the expanding world of that place, Werewolf the Apocalypse, considered by many to be the best, of course, there you go. New stuff coming out from those guys. The Larry Elmore thing obviously would probably stand out to a lot of other people. Not my cup of tea, but then, it doesn't mean anything. I'm sure there's a lot of people out there who literally love Elmore, and this would be a great way to support him and get a huge collection of his art. This, well, I don't know. If you're going to spend money on a superhero role-playing game, I'd say spend it on mine. We've seen so many of these games. How is this one going to be different? No, that just feels like a waste of money. Clever concept. I don't know if it's worth $50, but clever concept. Another retro clone fantasy game. A little love for Harn, like that. $50 for a little love for Harn seems a little pricey for a campaign that doesn't really get the much recognition as it should. Nice to know that somebody who thinks D&D isn't safe also thinks this game is far more bloody than D&D. And finally, we have this, which I don't know anything about except it's Monty Cook, which means he'll as we know with usual Monty Cook stuff, he will push the hell out of it and then forget it. And then maybe come back to it, or maybe he won't. If any of these stand out to you, head on over to your favorite Kickstarter and support them and get yourself some free merch. And let me know if you pick any of them up and what you think about them. And if you want me to continue doing this every week, let me know. If you never want to hear me cover these ever again, let me know. Remember, this is your channel, not mine. So let me know what you want to see. Till next time, I've been your grumpy guide to all the tabletop role-playing game news, weather, and general internet nonsense that is the OGGM. Often imitated, but never duplicated. Talk to y'all later. Spooky, 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 spooky.